All right, guys. So Marvel, they're playing games with us. They dropped episodes 5 and 6 on the same day of Daredevil Born Again, and I quite enjoyed them. So episode 5, I've seen some people refer to it as like a bottle episode or as a filler episode. I don't agree with that. Like, I feel like a filler episode or like a bottle episode are episodes that like don't tie into the rest of the narrative. This this episode very much does tie into the rest of the narrative. Like, the robbers are like uh they are employees. What am I trying to what are the goons? They're goons of one of the major crime families, which ties into the percolating crime war that's happening throughout the season. Matt, this being the episode where he truly like becomes Daredevil again, right? He doesn't put on the costume, but he could have just called the police and let them handle it. But this being the episode where he says, "Screw it, I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna handle it myself." It's like that's a big deal for this entire season. That's a major storyline. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't. I personally don't think it's filler at all, really. Just because like it does solely focus on Matt, sure, but and it does maybe doesn't involve a lot of other characters, but I don't know. To say that it's filler, I disagree. Now, one thing I will say about it is that it does feel not as dynamically directed as some of the other season or some of the other episodes. And I do feel like this episode feels the most like this is just an episode from the original series before they did the reworking. And I still enjoyed it, but I don't know. It's like it's interesting watching then episode 6 where that episode feels like it was directed a little bit more dynamically. The editing was a little more dynamic. Um, the action was a little better. It is just interesting where it's like it's not it's not quite tangible necessarily, but I could feel a difference. And it feels like episode 6 was directed by the new showrunners and the new team. Anyway, I still enjoyed them overall, and I am definitely glad that they gave us these two episodes today, because now we're leaving this week being like, okay, Matt is in the suit now. He's officially Daredevil again. Let's go for it. The rest of the season is just going to be all bangers. You know what I mean? At least I hope. So let's get into the more spoilery deep dive into the episodes. So I gotta say, I like the way that this show captures New York. It feels like it captures the community with all the shots of just civilians doing random things. Again, I totally understand that a lot of people are mad that this show doesn't feel like the Netflix one. And I don't disagree that it doesn't feel like the next Netflix one. And I would even go so far as to say that I do think the neo noir lighting and cinematography is better than what they're doing here. But I also just think that this feels like its own distinct feeling and vibe, and I respect it more than anything. And I kind of like the way that this show is almost shot more like a. It's kind of like, especially with like the Fisk storyline, it just feels a little bit more like House of Cardsy in a way, and it feels a little more like we're establishing this world and this like political landscape of New York. So I don't know. People can have their own opinions, of course. I love that we got Yusuf Khan. I think that was his name, right? Kamala's dad. Miss Marvel is definitely a bit of a mixed bag. I love like the first 3 episodes. Like I love Kamala and her family and her little friends, Bruno and her girlfriend, not her girlfriend, but her friend that's a girl, who was like running for whatever position in the Muslim church. It's like I loved all of that. And then for whatever godforsaken reason, they decided, all right, we're going to abandon all of those storylines and we're just going to go to Pakistan. And we're going to meet a whole bunch of like brand new characters. We're going to introduce you to quite possibly the worst villains ever in the MCU. And it was just like, man, why did you not just stay in New Jersey? Like that almost felt like a season 2 plot line. But throughout the entire thing, I loved Aman Vellani as Kamala Khan, and I loved her dad and her family. They're so great. So I loved seeing them in this. I also like seeing Matt like struggling to get a loan. You know, like I do like that. Even though he is obviously a lot more successful in this than in the second or than in the first series, I do appreciate that he's still having money problems due to him being a more of an altruistic lawyer and not a demon like so many of them are. And yeah, I like seeing that the tracksuit mafia is the one stealing the money. And again, it's not a filler episode because it ties into the overarching story. And I don't know, I do also like seeing Matt as a lawyer using his blindness to his advantage, actually like figure out the problem. I do think that is a cool element to this episode. But yeah, like I mentioned before, I do feel like the action in this episode is a little stiff. It doesn't feel as well directed and choreographed. Like we're gonna get to talking about the Muse fight later, but it's like even little things like in that that fight, it feels like there's just like a lot more dynamic and creative moments. In this episode, it feels a little more choppy, a little more highly edited. But you know, still not bad or anything. I also like that Matt is like a little sloppy in this. Like he's actually having trouble taking down these two goons. And I mean, this guy was like the main goon, so maybe he is a better fighter than average, but it's like even still, it's like pretty sure that what they're trying to communicate here is that Matt is sloppy. He is going to struggle to take these guys down a little bit. But at the end of the day, broke that leg. So not that big of a deal. I also like this little twist at the end where Charlie, or not Charlie, but Matt, he leaves the diamond at the end. For a second there, I thought that Matt was gonna steal it to help pay for for his law firm expanded, and I was like, based alert. But yeah, no, he gave it back. And yeah, it does just go to emphasize that like I don't know, I feel like this is him becoming the vigilante. Like this was really him becoming Daredevil again, where he didn't let the police handle it. He didn't let the police like find the gem or whatever. It was like he handled it. He took out the guy. He returned the gem because this was an act of vigilantism, right? Like this is not like that episode where he was just being a lawyer, getting the witness to safety, and then the cops barge in and he was like forced to take them out. He was gone from the bank and he chose to come back and be a vigilante. So that is my accession. Yeah. So here we have Matt trying to pray the devil away. I thought this was a really nice little scene where he's like literally praying, you know. I like when they emphasize that Matt is a Catholic, you know what I mean? Like I do like it should be like a really big part of his life, and I appreciate the Catholic guilt. Obviously didn't work. And he's trying to do his best by Foggy, but you know, Foggy, stop trying to ruin the show, okay? We all want what we want. We all want what we want to see. I like how this guy is just totally cooked. It's like this guy's head is probably gonna get beaten in with a car door, or his limbs are gonna get torn off. But yeah, that whole scene where he's like trying to intimidate Fisk is just like, little bro, sit down. I mean, you are sitting down in this frame, but you know what I mean. Interesting that his Matt's girlfriend is writing a book about vigilantism. Very convenient that she happens to be living with a vigilante. Yeah, one other thing that's kind of weird is that if we see Matt become Daredevil again, it's like he lives with her now, right? So like I wonder how that's gonna work. Like, is he just gonna tell her? Because it's like he would have to tell her or break up with her. Because I don't know. I don't know how you could possibly be a vigilante when somebody's living with you and you're just like gonna weirdly try and hide that from them. So we'll see how they do that. Uh oh, really love this scene with Angela. Her name's Angela, right? I think. Where she's basically calling Matt a coward, being like, "You lawyers, you only do things on your own terms, but when somebody gives you something real to do, then you decide to cower away. My aunt or whatever told me that I shouldn't trust anybody and that I gotta handle things on my own, and she was right. You suck, Matt Murdock. You're a bitch." That was what she said word for word. Really good scene. Really like this little actress. Again, I can't tell if they're like trying to set her up to be the new White Tiger, just because I don't like if they are. I don't know when that would pay off, because she's a tiny little girl, and it's like I'm so bad with kids these days where it's like I can't tell if she's like 11 or 12 or 15 or 16. And it's like, when would she feasibly take up the mantle? Because it wouldn't be until she's like at least 18 or 19, right? until she's like an adult. But I mean, the thing with like kids these days, anyways, is it's like you fucking wait a few years and they already look like they're paying off mortgages. You know what I mean? So it's like, honestly, in like a couple of years, it probably wouldn't be ridiculous for this actress to play a White Tiger in a future season of Daredevil, or in that rumored Young Avengers show. So we'll see. Well, we'll see how that goes. But it feels like that's what they're doing. I kind of like that Fisk is just officially done with traditional politics. Like, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna handle things my own way. Okay. I'm gonna take these all these people that are annoying me, and I'm gonna dump them in a river because I'm a thug. And yeah, we're done with this nonsense. I like that we learn more about Muse's like methods, where it's like he sucks people's blood. He sucks his victim's blood, and then he like injects it into the paint. And then he does his little murals. I am going to be curious to see, like, what exactly is his ideology? Does he have, like, a set-in-stone ideology? Like, why does he do what he does? Does he, like, hate the system? Does he hate vigilantes? Does he... Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But, yeah. Hopefully Muse ends up being a cool villain. I like this scene where it's just, like, all the elite telling Fisk to go eat a bag of dicks. This guy was in Hawkeye, by the way. He was Kate Bishop's like stepdad, or I think, or I don't know if he's officially her stepdad, but he was like dating her mom or something. So that's like, okay, I guess this guy's back. I think he was also the sword master or whatever, like the vigilante with the sword. Because I remember people saying like during Hawkeye, like, "Whoa, Sword Master is in this. That guy's a Marvel character." And I remember that was really the point where the MCU was really starting to go downhill. And I was like, bro, you can't expect me to care that this random guy is a character in Marvel. Because it used to be the case when the MCU was at its height. People would be like, oh, this character, he's that like niche character from the comics. And I would just inherently get excited because I was all in on Marvel. And I specifically remember this guy, people trying to like hype him up. That was really when the MCU started going downhill, because I was like, oh, I don't care. So we'll see. I don't know if he'll show up anymore in the show. I really like this scene with Fisk and Vanessa. I feel like Vanessa just wants Kingpin to become his old self again. Like, I think she hates this like cucked out political Kingpin who's like trying to do things the right way. I think Vanessa wants Fisk to uh to do shady stuff and to become Kingpin again and start like beating people's heads in with a car door. I feel like she wants him to do that, and I think that's what we're gonna see. So I think we'll see their relationship get stronger as he gets more violent. And as a part of this, he puts together this vigilante task force with the piece of garbage cop from the beginning of the season. I believe the black guy, I think he's a character in the comics who was like the lead of a vigilante task force. So, interesting stuff. I do think that this is where we're going to start picking back up on that like Punisher skull on the bullet, and I think Punisher is going to come back into the picture to help Matt take out this vigilante task force. So it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder if, yeah, I mean, like for them to put together a vigilante task force, I feel like there has to be a good amount of vigilantes for them to even go after. So it's like, are we now going to see more superheroes coming in? Like, are we going to see a Jessica Jones, a Luke Cage, an Iron Fist? Maybe we'll just see them kill Swordmaster. Maybe that's going to be the vigilante that we see them go after. Who knows? I will say, I thought this Daredevil suit up scene, I don't know, like, it's not that it doesn't make sense, because he realizes that Angela's missing. He's about to call 911, and he says, you know what? I can't take this anymore. I'm just going to suit up as Daredevil. It's like all of that thematically and storyline wise makes sense, but there's just something about the way that I feel like it happened a little too quickly, where he was like, screw it. And then it was just like so quick that it cut to him running across rooftops. By the way, maybe it wasn't CGI, but him running on the rooftops just feels so CGI-y, and it doesn't look good, is what I'll say. And it's like, I don't know, you can't just like film a guy running across a rooftop, or like a set that looks like a rooftop. Why does it look bad? It was the same case in the first episode as well. But yeah, the action in this episode really good. Like his fight with Muse was genuinely fantastic, and it's just like stuff like just like creative moments where it's like Daredevil is lying on the ground, Muse is about to stab Angela, and because he's blind, he doesn't look or anything. He just like shoots out his little thing to knock the needle out of his hand. There are just like badass moments where like it almost feels like Matt is like letting Muse kick him and punch him because he wants to let the devil out. And so like there's like this one scene where like where Muse like kicks and punches Daredevil like 3 times, and you see like blood coming out of his mouth, and then he just like destroys Muse, and he like literally lets the devil out by screaming. It was like, it's awesome. So really good scene. However, the build up to it, again, I should mention, with Angela missing and him just like, it feels like a little abruptly becoming Daredevil, he finds Muse very easily. Like he just knows where he is. It's like there was no investigation of trying to find Angela. He just like, he just finds Muse's headquarters. That was definitely weird. That is like probably the biggest like piece or like moment of this seems like an awkward restitching together of the series, where it's like I would imagine that in the original series this was probably fleshed out a little bit more, and they could not figure out how to get Matt investigating where Muse was and where he took Angela. It feels like they just couldn't rework it into the series, so that was annoying, but whatever. The fight was cool. Yeah, again, Muse, very disturbing. There is something very disturbing about just this giant ass syringe and sucking the blood out of the guys. Not cool. Not good. And yeah, I guess on the other hand, we finally see Kingpin truly letting the Kingpin out, not the devil out, and he just like beats the shit out of Adam. I thought that he killed Adam, but I was watching somebody talk about the episode, and they said that Adam was still breathing by the end. So I'm not sure if Adam's dead or alive. Still, I guess we'll see. Kind of a fun moment where he's like, Adam, here's an axe. I've beat up people bigger than me when I was a youngster. So this is fair, actually. And Adam tries his best, but he did unfortunately get bodied. I thought there was a fun moment where like Kingpin just like slaps Adam and he just like flies across the room, kind of establishing that Kingpin's strength. I thought was very fun. But yeah, overall, I like these two episodes. Definitely things to criticize, but I don't know. I like the show. It's very interesting seeing the reaction to it, where it does feel like there's a surprising amount of negativity surrounding the show, and I don't entirely begrudge it, because it's like, if you like the original Netflix show, this is not the original Netflix show. It's not as good as the original Netflix show, but I think for a Disney Plus show, this is obviously one of the better ones. I think for a Marvel Studios project, I think this is pretty good, for their standards. So I'm satisfied with it, but I think if you just want to hyper focus and compare it to the Netflix Daredevil show, which is fair to do, then I can understand you being disappointed with it. But yeah, either way, let me know what you think about the episodes in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.